Welcome to another exciting episode of Business Roundup. My name is Buggala Island. This week, the Ministry of Tourism has been in the spotlight for its controversial Miss Curvy contest. You can let us know what you think about that on our social media platforms. Away from that, the first local content oil and gas conference was also held this week, and we shall be letting you know what happened at the deliberations. Valentine's Day is also coming up. We shall sell you sounds of business at Buggala Island. Stay tuned, and it's time for business. In our first story, the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development has assured those eyeing the industry that the final investment decisions will be signed in June 2019 and in turn open up various value chains in the industry. Organized by the Petroleum Authority of Uganda, the local content conference at Speak Resort Munyonyo was on the theme building the competitiveness of Ugandan entities for the oil and gas industry. According to Irene Moloney, the Minister for Energy and Mineral Development, the turn-up projects the growing interest of local and foreign investors in the sector.
Ugandans need to understand that this resource belongs to all of us. And every Ugandan is eagerly waiting to see that drop of oil flowing in their homes. So we have to be very careful. We have to manage this resource in the most transparent and accountable manner.
Despite the postponement of the oil production, it is critical for stakeholders to keep tabs with the developments in the sector and build capacity in order to be relevant to the industry.
The players and the IOCs and the multinationals will not compromise on standards, so it's very key that we have to uplift our standards. How are we going to do that? Training is very essential, and also linkages with more experienced entities.
As the oil and gas production phase comes closer, concerns continue to pile up on how best the local investors can benefit from the multi-billion-dollar industry. Although the industry has a very wide value chain, all the subsectors have to abide to the international standards and guidelines, and therefore the prospecting local investors have to match up.
Because many people complain and say that funding is an issue, and yet in true sense of the matter, many of them are not organized. And I'm glad it is from the Association of the Uganda Service Oil Providers. But most important of all, resources, the manpower, the kind of capacity that we have within these companies. That is something that we feel is quite crucial when it comes to SME development.
The signing of the final investment decisions within this year is expected to push Uganda's oil and gas sector to a new threshold.
It seems to me that because we delayed to produce oil, we caught up on skilling our people. If we had taken this oil at the time when we discovered it, Ugandans would have been absent. But this time, I walk with a spring in my step. I am very proud about what I am seeing in this conference. I am reassured, I am re-energized.
Some of the areas that Ugandan investors are eyeing include transport, logistics, engineering, construction, the service industry, among others. It's been a huge turn-up of the public and potential investors in the oil and gas industry. Over $20 billion is expected to be invested in the industry within the next 36 months. Buggala Island for UBC Business. Uganda Development Bank has been assigned a long-term issuer default rating of B+ by Fitch Ratings, an international credit rating agency. The rating casts confidence on the institution's creditworthiness by its clients and other stakeholders.
Among other prospects, the B+ accreditation to Uganda Development Bank will enable the institution to borrow money from any national or international source.
With this rating, we hope that the funders' confidence, for example, would be increased in the bank, because now the different funders and partners are able to have more confidence in the bank and therefore increase chances of the bank to raise capital. So when the bank's capital base significantly increases, then we'll be able to increase our reach physically with time.
It increases the horizon of our borrowing, but also lowers the cost of borrowing. This cost of borrowing translates directly to the cost of the facilities that we offer our customers.
Uganda Development Bank began operating in 1972 and was the first development finance institution established by the government of Uganda. The bank has grown to provide financial solutions in agriculture, agro-industrialization, manufacturing, among others.
The benefits we expect out of this is to grow our funding base. So as a result, when you grow our funding base, then the layman will be able to access more funding that they need to support their businesses and what they do.
The banking sector in Uganda depends on silent depositors who oil it with savings, turnovers, transactions and payments, among others. With a B+ accreditation, UDB will be able to support a wider customer base with firm guarantee of trust. Charlotte Amuge, UBC Business.
The northern region of Uganda suffers from rampant power outages. You'll get to know more about the lead cause of these outages in our next story with Dennis Igor.
As you can see in where I'm standing, this entire area looked like it was burnt. Probably someone was preparing land for cultivation or maybe construction. Unfortunately, fire spread very fast and it almost brought down the power infrastructure that you're seeing right behind me. The northern region continues to grapple with man-made power outages. In the last 2 weeks, approximately 21 power poles have been burnt by uncontrolled fires.
Boroboro 11 kV, it serves part of the town, and then the structure at the extreme end is Kampala Road stroke Ngeta 11 kV. It also serves about 60% of the load in Lira town.
Bush burning is a common practice in the northern and western region, especially during the dry season. Villagers claim that burning is part of their hunting practice, such as clearing their hunting ground for rats and mudfish. Others burn for cultivation.
To allow the animal to come out so that they can hunt it. Others, when they are drunk, when they are having a matchbox, they just burn the bushes. That is due to pressure from the alcohol.
The dangerous practice has come to the attention of the local leaders. They decry the practice due to its socio-economic consequence.
It is very serious, and this is where we are calling for our brother in Meme to really pull up power outages. Actually, it affects people who are manufacturing, those who are baking bread at night, those who are, they really cry foul.
Vandalism is another challenge, and the most common target are the stay wires and fire fabrics. This power pole is burnt, and as you can see, it is about to fall anytime soon, and if it falls down, then definitely the Kitbull region will not be having electricity. Do you know why this happened? It's because the fire fabric, which is normally tied around this place, was removed by the community. And from what we've been told, they use them in their houses, some of them as carpets, while others for hosting guests.
This technology, it is being used in Namibia, because Namibia is also victim to forest, to bushfires. It's being used in Namibia to limit the effects of bush burning.
Umeme officials, in partnership with the local leaders, are currently involved in a sensitization drive whose objective is to curb the burning practice and vandalism.
Throughout the districts of Lango, Lira inclusive therefore, all sub-counties have bush burning policy and bush burning bylaws. And once you are caught, you are really apprehended, because bush burning can even destroy many homesteads.
Despite the presence of bylaws aimed at combating bush burning along the power lines, the implementation is not effective. Dennis Igor for UBC News.
Amidst infrastructure development initiatives that Kampala Capital City Authority is undertaking, real estate owners in Makindye Division have raised a concern about the double taxation of their properties. It is with this concern that the mayor of Makindye Division and his delegates have declared a launch on the new guidelines for the real estate tax payment in the suburb.
Properties in Makindye division have increased from 23,000 in 2005 to over 51,000, thereby increasing the division's potential revenue and from property rates from 3 billion shillings to over 10 billion shillings.
We made evaluation, we made we try to assess our public how they can benefit from this new exercise. We named the road. Most of the road as now they have names. We work with LCs. We named the road. Every house we try to so that we get the plate. Is it number plates or what? House plate. House plate.
However, rental property owners in the area claim unfair tax charges by Uganda Revenue Authority.
After we did this one, the Director Revenue and the chairman, the URA came and even complaining that now demanding the rental tax. And for us as a KCC, we already finished our part, that property rents. And these properties come from house rent. And at the same time, URA has now using our data, calling people that we are now want rental tax. That was a mistake because they never sensitized the public, but the public they are aware about property rents.
Real estate in Uganda contributes about 30% of total revenue collections in KCCA, says Fred Andema, the Director of Revenue Collections, KCCA.
Allow me add that the city's service delivery requirements can only be met with financial resource provision. And His Worship the Mayor, I think, made mention of that. If you don't have money, you cannot provide any services.
Rental property owners in Makindye division have been advised to clear their due tax payments by 30th of June this year. It is important to note that they will only pay the principal fee minus the interest. For UBC Business, I'm Charlotte Amuge.
The Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, through the Uganda Coffee Development Authority, are implementing the Elite Coffee Planting Program. The program aims at distributing and planting at least 300 million seedlings and thereby contributing to the attainment of 20 million bags per year.
The demand for Ugandan coffee worldwide is gradually increasing. It is against this background that the Minister of Agriculture, Animal Husbandry and Fisheries is distributing Elite Robusta coffee seedlings to Robusta coffee growing districts in the country.
We have so far supplied 800 million Elite seedlings in Robusta growing areas. So I just want to mention again that for Arabica, we still continue with Elite. So all these Arabica areas, they will continue growing Elite seedlings.
This year, the government of Uganda is to direct its support towards coffee productivity enhancement programs such as coffee rehabilitation, provision of water for production, and farmer training in good agro practices, among others.
We are including also fertigation using fertilizers. We are also using superior agronomical practices. We really need our farmers to go into serious management or better management of the coffee tree.
However, stakeholders in the coffee industry are apprehensive about poor handling and the changing weather conditions which may affect coffee production in the country.
Every coffee counts. That should be the message. Every coffee, even if it is one coffee, every coffee counts. So that you put your energy into that one coffee. Improve it to give it maximum productivity. I think Uganda we shall be very far. So this target of 20 million bags, which His Excellency the President has directed the coffee industry to produce members, it is attainable.
Robusta coffee in Uganda is grown in the low altitude areas of central, eastern, western and southeastern Uganda. Dennis Igoa for UBC Business.
Buggala Island attracts thousands of local and foreign tourists annually. The island is becoming one of the most popular getaway destinations for relaxation, especially for Kampala and Entebbe residents.
Buggala Island is the largest of the 84 islands of Sese that make Kalangala district. It has developed to rival some of the most popular tourist attractions in Uganda. The environment, the white sand beaches, the clean blue waters and accommodation on the shores of Lake Victoria are attractions for local and foreign tourists. The preferred means of transport MV Kalangala plies the Kalangala-Entebbe route daily. However, residents of the island say its capacity to transport the number of visitors to the island, especially during the peak seasons such as Christmas, Easter and Valentines, is still wanting.
We have one ferry that is docks here and leaves in the morning and then comes back from Entebbe at 8, from Entebbe at 2. Suppose you want to come to Kalangala for a weekend, you have to wait until 2, then get here at 5:30 and then the weekend is running away. If you have to work on Monday, you have to go back on Sunday, and to be Sunday morning, you have to wake up early. So we still have a challenge. We have been discussing with our colleagues, the other beach owners, and trying to involve the Ministry of Works, but it's not as easy. Government agencies, they take time.
Bird watching, forest and nature walk, swimming and motorboat cruise is always a pleasant treat, says David Masreka, a hotelier. He actually refers to Buggala as a lover's island since most visitors to the island come in tours.
We have some destinations which we think when we take their client can feel it. Under this boat ride, we take some clients, or we take the clients to Virgin Island. We call it Virgin Island because apparently there is no accommodation facility there. But when you go there, you can find there some tree species, bird species, some white sand, and then you can have a look at this crocodile. And its eggs, you can see where it is laying the eggs from. After it has laid some eggs, it hides them in the sand, and you can see it from there.
For over a decade, Gerald Mugisha, a tour guide, has guided thousands of tourists on the island. He has over the years endeavored to acquire more skills and knowledge of the flora and fauna of the Buggala, as well as the neighboring touristic islands.
We have cave, which is belong to Buganda Kingdom. Yeah. Then birds. We have different bird species. Like we have African parrots. They are found here at the island, and egrets, water birds. Yeah.
As Buggala continues to attract thousands of visitors annually, there is also fear of it losing its rich and diverse tourist attractions. This is due to the disappearing tropical forest surrounding, as more trees are felled to create more land for palm trees growing. Dennis Igoa and Robin Yoso for UBC News in Buggala.
In our corporate news, amidst the various challenges that the Ugandan education sector faces, schools in rural areas emerge as the most disadvantaged due to lack of appropriate funding. Now, the Ministry of Education and Sports has, however, welcomed corporate companies' initiatives to address some of these impending gaps.
I thank Airtel for constructing for us our school because it was one of the worst schools in the community in Rengo district.
Airtel Uganda has awarded the best performing PLE students in their adopted schools with school requirements to help them start a new school chapter.
We started this in 2011 here in Uganda, but it's also across the rest of Africa. And the intention is to make sure we support the young children in the environment in which they study.
For such initiatives to materialize, stakeholders have to agree on the guidelines in line with each of their goals.
We have a strategy for corporate social responsibility which is hinged on 4 main pillars, and that is the environment, health, education and sports.
So when they come to us, we discuss what sort of package they have, and we ensure that the package they have is in line with our curriculum.
The adopted primary schools include Namfugaki Primary School in Jinja, St. Ponsiano in Makindye, Ndeba Church of Uganda, and Seke Primary School in Wengo District. At the root of its corporate social responsibility, Airtel Uganda is working with 4 schools in its Adopt a School program. And now moving from just improving infrastructure, it's now going ahead to improve the ICT environment in these schools. Reporting for UBC Business, Wadulo Makanold. Hamilton Cloud Services, Uganda's first local cloud service provider, has signed a partnership with Raxio, a Tier 3 carrier neutral and cloud neutral database center. The deal will make Hamilton Cloud Services the biggest local cloud service in a Tier 3 data center environment in Uganda.
Hamilton Cloud Services, Uganda's first local cloud service provider and a subsidiary of Hamilton Telecom, has finalized an agreement to co-locate their servers in Raxio state-of-the-art data center at the Kampala Industrial and Business Park, Namamve.
The cloud technology has matured for over maybe 15 years now. And it's been here, the bigger players, yes, have been using it. Your Google, Microsoft, Amazon have been providing cloud services for such a long period of time. What they are bringing to the table right now as Hamilton Cloud is actually making it more locally relevant.
Raxio announced plans to construct Uganda's first Tier 3 carrier-neutral and cloud-neutral data center last year. Since then, the company has completed feasibility studies, land acquisition and design works, and is now in the process of finalizing earthworks.
So the idea about shared infrastructure is that, and which is also the reason why this kind of partnership or relationship becomes interesting, is that instead of Hamilton Cloud or Charm Cloud or any other cloud provider going and building all these independent individual data centers to provide services for the SMEs, they would rather come and take space that is enough for their platform, and then they can only provide the services so that they don't have to worry too much about the cost of capital, but rather basically be able to just continuously run their platforms.
Hamilton Cloud Services becomes Raxio's first officially signed customer for service when Raxio opens its doors in the last quarter of 2019.
Our clients can be the banks, the major banks. It can be microfinance institutions. It can be the SACCOs. It can be association for agriculture people, because soon they are going to start, they are pulling together this information, and then later they work with telecos and pick up, for example, weather or what soil types in all this. So it can be associations in agriculture. It could be social entrepreneurs.
Among other services, the HCS Cloud Computing and Backup Service model uses cloud resources to protect applications and data from disruption caused by disasters on a pay-as-you-grow model that allows customers to stay ahead with access to advanced solutions. Dennis Igoa for UBC Business.
On the international scene, fishing is a skill that has been handed down through the generations of members of Kenya's Turkana community who lived around Kenya's Lake Turkana. However, in the recent years, several challenges have emerged eating into the fishermen's livelihood.
The sun is peeping over the horizon when the fishermen set out. Early mornings are the best times for fishing expeditions. The Lake Turkana is peaceful then, and the nets the fishermen cast the previous evening are heavy with fish. But not all the fishermen who fish in this lake are so lucky. On one side of the Lake Turkana in Kalokol, fishermen take stock of the morning's catch. Without boats, they can only fish where the water is shallow. A whole morning's work has yielded only these little fish.
Tukipata kama hii, tunatoa 2-5. Watoto wanakula.
I'll give the children some to eat and sell the rest. They won't fetch more than $1.50.
Mta shilingi 5, shilingi 10, hivyo.
But on the other side of the lake, a 7-hour journey by boat, the fishermen encounter different fortunes. They guide motorboats laden with fish back to the store at the shore. For a small fee, the Fishermen Cooperative Society of Loyangalani provides freezers to store the fresh fish and stores to keep the dried ones. It also helps to find buyers. Fishing is a skill that has been handed down through generations among the Turkana people.
Kama hii bahari ndio shamba yetu kama Waturkana ambaye tunaitegemea, hakuna shamba ambaye tunategemea, hapa ni bahari ndio tunategemea kama shamba zetu.
But in recent years, even for fishermen with boats, it has become harder to make a decent living from fishing in Lake Turkana. One of the challenges that fishermen in Lake Turkana continue to face is stormy weather when they must remain on shore for their own safety. But on days like this, when the lake is relatively calm, then they can venture out to earn their living. Some of this fish will make it to the capital, Nairobi, where it will be sold at a much higher price. The profits won't trickle down to the hundreds of fishermen who venture out to the lake every day, but they are hopeful. The county government of Turkana has pledged to donate fishing boats. Bulkisa Nyabwa, CGTN, Turkana, Kenya.
In our Sounds of Business, we take you to Buggala Island, one of the most scenic islands on Lake Victoria. Buggala Island is popular for tourists, fishing, birding, as well as palm oil growing. Check out what the island has prepared for you this Valentine's Day. Everyone might have a good business idea, but the distinct person is the one that packages his idea very well for his target audience. That is why as Business Roundup, we come together every week and compile for you the best business stories that make news. Let us know what you think about the show on our social media platforms. And from the team and I, it's goodbye.